My wife drained our entire emergency fund for her brother's life-threatening debt, and he immediately flew to Vegas for a poker tournament. I made them pay it back big time. My wife Lisa and I had been saving for 3 years to build up our emergency fund. We both worked extra shifts, skipped vacations, drove old cars. Also, we could have $15,000 saved for real emergencies. Lisa was on board the whole time talking about how we needed security and couldn't rely on anyone else. Her brother Jake was the opposite. 35 years old, quit every job after 2 months, always had some business idea that needed investors. Their parents funded his lifestyle until they retired to Arizona and cut him off. That's when Jake started coming around more often. First, it was dinner once a week where he'd eat our food and complain about how unfair life was. Then he was borrowing Lisa's car because his got repossessed. Then he needed groceries because his girlfriend kicked him out. Lisa always said no to money though. She'd tell me she knew better than to give Jake cash. One Tuesday I came home from work and Lisa was sitting at the kitchen table crying. She said Jake had called with a real emergency this time. He owed someone bad money and they were going to hurt him if he didn't pay by Friday. It was $12,000. I said absolutely not. That wasn't our problem. Lisa said she already gave it to him. She'd withdrawn almost our entire emergency fund that morning. I asked her how she could do that without talking to me. She said Jake promised to pay it back in a month when his new business deal came through. Some garbage about importing furniture or something. I was beyond furious, but Lisa kept saying he was her brother and she couldn't let him get hurt. 3 days later, Jake posted pictures from Vegas with his girlfriend. The emergency was a lie. He wanted the money for a poker tournament. He didn't even win. When I confronted Lisa, she said Jake told her he used the winnings from the tournament to pay off the debt. There were no winnings. There was no debt. Just Jake being Jake. I told Lisa she needed to get our money back. She called Jake and he laughed, saying it was a gift and we could afford it. Lisa actually defended him, saying we did have good jobs. That's when I knew I was done with both of them. I moved my paychecks to a separate account Lisa couldn't access. She was furious, but I said I couldn't trust her with money anymore. Jake started calling, asking for more help because he knew Lisa had given him money before. Lisa had to tell him she couldn't because I controlled the finances now. Jake called me controlling and abusive. 2 months later, Jake announced he was getting married to some woman named Becca he'd known for 6 weeks. Becca's family had money, and Jake was rushing the wedding before they figured out what he was. He planned this huge wedding at a country club that Becca's parents were paying for. Lisa was so excited and kept talking about her brother finally growing up. She bought a $1,000 bridesmaid dress with her credit card since I wouldn't give her money from my account. The week before the wedding, I did some research on Jake's business ventures. Turns out he'd been taking money from multiple people for the same fake import business. He'd promised 7 different investors they were his sole partner. One of them was Becca's dad. I printed everything out and mailed it anonymously to all the investors. They started comparing notes and realized Jake had taken over $80,000 total for a business that didn't exist. They went to the police together and filed charges for fraud. The police showed up at Jake's bachelor party and arrested him. The wedding was obviously canceled. Becca's family was humiliated and cut all contact. Jake was released on bail that Lisa paid for using her jewelry as collateral. But here's the best part. Jake's lawyer fees were insane, and he needed $20,000 for a decent attorney. He came to our house begging. Lisa looked at me with these pleading eyes. I said I had the money in my separate account that could help. Jake got excited. Then I said, but I wouldn't give him a penny, and neither would Lisa since she had no money left. I told him maybe he should have saved an emergency fund instead of stealing ours. He called me heartless. I called the police and told them he was violating his bail conditions by harassing victims, since technically we were victims too. They picked him up again. Lisa's parents found out about everything at the canceled wedding. They were furious at both their kids. Turns out Jake had taken money from them too over the years. They wrote both Jake and Lisa out of their will until they got their acts together. 6 months later, Lisa served me with divorce papers, claiming financial abuse and demanding half of everything in my separate account plus alimony. Full story on channel, link below.